Question 1. Topic: Ownership and repatriation of cultural property during a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement. A national museum discovers that several artifacts in its collection were originally acquired from an occupied territory during a historical conflict. A foreign government formally requests the return of these artifacts, arguing that their removal violated international law. The museum argues that it acquired artifacts in good faith and that they have been part of the national cultural heritage for decades. Which of the following legal principles best applies in this scenario? A. Doctrine of reverse possession. The museum has had possession of the artifacts for long period, establishing legal ownership. B. The 1970 UNESCO Convention. The foreign government has the right to demand the return of any cultural property removed after 1970, regardless of circumstances. C. The 1954 Hague Convention. Cultural property taken during armed conflict should be returned to its original country if acquired in good faith. D. National Stolen Property Act, NSPIA. The artifacts should be returned only if proven to have been illegally imported under U.S. law. Answer: C. The 1954 Hague Convention. Cultural property taken during armed conflict should be returned to its original country even if acquired in good faith. Explanation: the 1954 Hague Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in Armed Conflict establishes that cultural property taken from an occupied territory during conflict must be returned to the original country. The good faith acquisition by the MU does not override the international legal obligation to repatriate cultural objects removed under unlawful conditions. Why not? A. The doctrine of reverse possession applies primarily to real estate, not to cultural property obtained through occupation or conflict. Why not? B. The 1970 UNESCO Convention only applies to objects removed after 1970 and does not retroactively govern artifacts acquired earlier. Why not? D. The National Stolen Property Act, NSPIA, applies only to property illegally imported into the U.S., but this case concerns cultural heritage obligations under international law. This case reflects the complexities surrounding repatriation claims, good faith acquisition, and international treaties, particularly in conflicts involving historical artifacts. Question 2. Topic: Art theft, fraud, and illicit trafficking. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in illicit art trafficking, an international task force investigates a private collector suspected of knowingly purchasing looted antiquities. The collector argues that they were unaware of the artifacts' illicit origins. However, evidence suggests that the collector failed to conduct proper provenance research and ignored red flags in the transaction. Under international and U.S. law, what legal doctrine is most relevant in determining liability? A. Caveat emptor, buyer beware. The buyer is responsible for conducting due diligence and assumes risk in the transaction. B. Scienter requirement in fraud law. The collector is only liable if proven to have knowingly engaged in fraudulent acts. C. Provenance and due diligence standards. Buyers have legal and ethical obligation to verify the legitimacy of artwork before purchasing. D. Interpol Red Notice policy. Only items explicitly flagged by Interpol as stolen can trigger legal action against the buyer. Answer: C. Provenance and due diligence standards. Buyers have legal and ethical obligation to verify the legitimacy of artwork before purchasing. Explanation: under international and U.S. law, including UNESCO conventions and the National Stolen Property Act, collectors, auction houses, and museums must conduct proper due diligence and provenance research before acquiring artwork. Courts have ruled that willful ignorance, e.g., ignoring red flags in the transaction, does not exempt buyer from liability. Why not? A. The principle of caveat emptor, buyer beware applies in commercial transactions but does not override due diligence obligations in cultural property law. Why not? B. While scienter knowledge of fraud is crucial in criminal cases, negligence in verifying provenance can still result in liability even without explicit intent. Why not? D. While Interpol plays a key role in tracking stolen art, lack of an Interpol red notice does not mean an object is legally acquired. Courts assess multiple factors beyond Interpol listings. This case illustrates the critical role of provenance research, buyer responsibility, and international regulations in preventing art trafficking. Question 3. Topic: Intellectual property and cultural heritage. When implementing new protocols in a shared environment, a government seeks to digitize and commercially distribute high-resolution images of ancient indigenous artifacts held in public museums. Indigenous communities claim that these artifacts, though physically owned by the museum, represent sacred cultural expressions that should not be commercially exploited without consent. Which of the following legal doctrines is most relevant to resolving this dispute? A. Copyright law. Museums own the intellectual property right to artifacts in their collection and can control reproductions. B. Traditional knowledge and indigenous cultural expressions protections. Indigenous communities have rights over cultural artifacts even if they do not physically own them. C. Fair use doctrine. The government may digitize the artifacts as long as it serves educational purposes. D. WIPO Copyright Treaty. Digital reproductions of artifacts are protected as new copyrighted works. Answer. B. Traditional knowledge and indigenous cultural expressions protections. Indigenous communities have rights over cultural artifacts even if they do not physically own them. Explanation. The protection of traditional knowledge and indigenous cultural expressions (TCS) is growing legal field. International frameworks, including UNESCO conventions and the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and DRIP, support indigenous communities' rights over cultural heritage even when artifacts are housed in state institutions. Why not? A. Museums may own physical artifacts, but ownership does not automatically grant intellectual property rights over cultural expressions. Why not? C. While fair use may allow limited reproduction for educational purposes, commercial distribution raises ethical and legal concerns under indigenous cultural property protections. Why not? D. The WIPO Copyright Treaty applies to newly created digital works, not artifacts that predate modern copyright law. This case highlights the conflict between state institutions and indigenous cultural rights, emphasizing the legal and ethical necessity of indigenous consultation in cultural heritage management. Question 4. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges arise regarding the ownership and restitution of cultural artifacts, a dispute emerges between a European museum and an African nation over a collection of sacred artifacts taken during the colonial era. The museum argues that the artifacts were lawfully acquired through treaties signed with colonial administrators at the time. The African nation, however, contends that the treaties were coerced, therefore invalid under modern legal principles. Given international conventions on cultural heritage and repatriation, what is the most legally sound argument for returning the artifacts to the African nation? A. The treaties signed during the colonial period remain legally binding under international contract law, making the museum's claim valid. B. The 1970 UNESCO Convention establishes that objects taken under colonial rule must be returned, rendering the museum's claim invalid. C. Modern legal principles recognize coerced treaties as illegitimate, and under the 1995 UNIDROIT Convention, the artifacts should be returned. D. The museum, as long-standing custodian, has established continuous good faith ownership, which is recognized under international property law. Answer. C. Modern legal principles recognize coerced treaties as illegitimate, and under the 1995 UNIDROIT Convention, the artifacts should be returned. Explanation. Under international law, coerced treaties, particularly those imposed under colonial rule, are increasingly viewed as illegitimate. The 1995 UNIDROIT Convention on Stolen or Illegally Exported Cultural Objects strengthens claims for repatriation, requiring that cultural property unlawfully exported be returned to its country of origin, while the 1970 UNESCO Convention on the means of prohibiting and preventing the illicit import, export, and transfer of ownership of cultural property also regulates the movement of cultural property. It applies primarily to objects removed after its enactment, making it less effective for colonial-era claims. The museum's argument A. Because modern international law does not automatically uphold treaties signed under conditions of oppression or coercion. Option D is incorrect because good faith ownership does not override restitution claims in cases of historical injustice. The most legally sound argument supports the return of artifacts based on the illegitimacy of colonial-era treaties. Question 5. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a government agency investigates the effectiveness of current measures to prevent the illicit trafficking of cultural property. The agency is considering stricter enforcement mechanisms, including criminal penalties for individuals involved in illegal trade. Which of the following legal principles would most effectively support the agency's decision to impose criminal liability for illicit trafficking of cultural heritage? A. The principle of national sovereignty grants countries the right to enforce criminal penalties against those who engage in illegal trade of their cultural property. B. The National Stolen Property Act, NSPA, criminalizes the transportation of stolen goods, including cultural property, across U.S. borders. C. The 1954 Hague Convention provides explicit criminal penalties for cultural property trafficking in peacetime. D. The principle of universal jurisdiction allows any country to prosecute individuals involved in the illicit cultural property trade, regardless of where the crime occurred. Answer B. The National Stolen Property Act (NSPA) criminalizes the transportation of stolen goods, including cultural property, across U.S. borders. Explanation: the National Stolen Property Act (NSPA) is one of the strongest legal tools in the U.S. for prosecuting cultural property crimes. It prohibits the movement of stolen goods across state or international borders, which applies directly to cases of illicit art and antiquities trafficking, while Option A correctly states that national sovereignty allows countries to impose criminal penalties. This principle alone does not provide the necessary legal framework. Option C is incorrect because the 1954 Hague Convention focuses primarily on the protection of cultural property during armed conflict rather than in peacetime trafficking cases. Option D misinterprets universal jurisdiction, which generally applies to grave international crimes such as genocide and war crimes rather than art trafficking. The NSPA remains the most effective mechanism for criminalizing the illicit movement of cultural heritage in the U.S. Question 6. When implementing new protocols in a shared environment involving private collectors, museums, and governments, disputes arise over the rightful ownership of artworks with incomplete provenance records. A collector claims ownership of a valuable painting but cannot provide a documented chain of custody. The museum argues that without clear provenance, the painting should be considered a suspect acquisition. Which legal principle best supports a museum's position? A. The principle of adverse possession, which allows ownership claims if an item has been held openly and continuously for a long period. B. The burden of proof in cultural property disputes lies with the possessor, meaning the collector must provide evidence of lawful ownership. C. The doctrine of laches, which prevents claims from being made after an unreasonable delay, supports the collector's continued possession. D. The 2001 UNESCO Convention on the Protection of the Underwater Cultural Heritage requires that all lost cultural property be returned to its country of origin. Answer B. The burden of proof in cultural property disputes lies with the possessor, meaning the collector must provide evidence of lawful ownership. Explanation: in art and cultural property disputes, the burden of proof generally rests on the party claiming ownership. Courts and legal frameworks such as the 1995 UNIDROIT Convention on Stolen or Illegally Exported Cultural Objects require possessors to demonstrate that they acquire object lawfully and in good faith. Option A is incorrect because adverse possession typically applies to real property, land, rather than movable cultural property. Option C is incorrect because the doctrine of laches is a defense that may bar delayed claims, but it does not establish legal ownership. Option D is irrelevant to this case because the 2001 UNESCO Convention focuses specifically on underwater cultural heritage. Museums and institutions prioritize due diligence in provenance research, reinforcing the principle that claimants must provide sufficient documentation to support their ownership rights. Question 7. During a critical transition period where existing processes must be evaluated for efficiency, a multinational company is restructuring its supply chain to reduce costs and improve delivery times. However, different regional warehouses follow distinct inventory management protocols. The company's leadership wants to implement standardized system while maintaining flexibility for local differences. What is the most effective strategy for balancing standardization and flexibility? A. Implement uniform global system and require all warehouses to strictly follow centralized policies, regardless of regional needs. B. Allow each warehouse to continue its existing practices but introduce periodic performance evaluations to ensure efficiency. C. Develop core standardized framework with adjustable modules that accommodate regional variations while maintaining consistency. D. Assign regional managers full autonomy over their supply chains and remove centralized oversight to promote local efficiency. Answer: C. Develop a core standardized framework with adjustable modules that accommodate regional variations while maintaining consistency. Explanation: a successful supply chain strategy requires both standardization to ensure efficiency and flexibility to address regional constraints. Option A fails because rigid centralization can overlook local operational needs, causing inefficiencies. Option B lacks a structured approach to improvement, risking inconsistency. Option D removes essential oversight, leading to potential inefficiencies across the company. The best approach is C, where A core framework provides consistency while adjustable modules allow for necessary regional customizations. Question 8. When developing a solution that must address opposing needs, a hospital faces a challenge between maintaining strict data privacy policies and allowing easy access to medical records for emergency care. Doctors need immediate access to patient histories, but privacy laws impose strict controls on data sharing. What is the most effective way to balance these requirements? A. Implement a strict access policy where only authorized personnel can retrieve medical records, even in emergencies. B. Use an encrypted access system with multi-tiered permissions, allowing emergency overrides under documented protocols. C. Require written patient consent before accessing medical records, even in urgent cases. D. Store all medical records offline to prevent unauthorized access, even though this may slow down emergency care. Answer. B. Use an encrypted access system with multi-tiered permissions, allowing emergency overrides under documented protocols. Explanation. Balancing data privacy and emergency access is crucial in healthcare. A multi-tiered permission system ensures that routine access follows strict privacy laws while emergency overrides provide life-saving information when needed. Option A may delay critical treatment, while C is impractical in emergencies. Option D prioritizes security at the cost of efficiency. The best approach B leverages encryption and access control while maintaining compliance with data protection laws. Question 9. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in a manufacturing line, engineers discover that frequent machinery breakdowns correlate with a recent switch to lower-cost raw materials. What is the most effective action to address the issue? A. Return to the original raw materials immediately, even if it increases costs. B. Conduct detailed testing of the current materials and implement stricter quality control measures. C. Replace all faulty machinery with newer equipment to compensate for the material quality. D. Assign additional maintenance staff to monitor the machinery continuously. Answer. B. Conduct detailed testing of the current materials and implement stricter quality control measures. Explanation. While switching back to the original materials, option A, may solve the problem, it does not address the root cause scientifically. Replacing machinery, option C, is expensive and unnecessary if the issue is with materials. Increasing maintenance, option D, does not solve the underlying material issue. The best approach B is to test materials and enhance quality control, ensuring cost savings without compromising machinery performance. Question 10. In an environment where different components must interact smoothly, a company is integrating a new software platform into its existing infrastructure. However, some legacy systems are incompatible with the new platform. What is the best approach to ensure a seamless transition? A. Replace all legacy systems immediately, regardless of cost. B. Develop middleware solutions that enable communication between the new platform and legacy systems. C. Operate the old and new systems separately without integration. D. Delay the new software implementation until all legacy systems are phased out. Answer. B. Develop middleware solutions that enable communication between the new platform and legacy systems. Explanation. Replacing all systems, option A, is costly and disruptive. Keeping systems separate, option C, leads to inefficiencies. Delaying implementation, option D, may slow down progress. The best solution is B. Using middleware to bridge compatibility gaps while gradually transitioning to newer technology. Question 11. During an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted, a city faces a severe storm that has disrupted power and communications. The emergency management team must prioritize resources. What is the most effective first step? A. Deploy response teams equally across all affected areas. B. Focus first on restoring power to government buildings. C. Identify the most critical infrastructure, hospitals, emergency centers, and restore those first. D. Wait for a full damage assessment before taking action. Answer. C. Identify the most critical infrastructure, hospitals, emergency centers, and restore those first. Explanation. Emergency response requires prioritization. Restoring hospitals and emergency centers first ensures that critical services function. Distributing resources equally, option A, may neglect the most urgent areas. Restoring government buildings first, option B, is not always the most pressing need. Waiting, option delays response. Question 12. In a situation where resource allocation becomes a major challenge, a non-profit organization must decide how to distribute limited funds among competing community programs. What is the best approach? A. Divide funds equally among all programs. B. Prioritize programs with the highest social impact based on data analysis. C. Give more funds to programs that receive less outside funding, even if their impact is lower. D. Fund only the programs with immediate needs, ignoring long-term initiatives. Answer: B. Prioritize programs with the highest social impact based on data analysis. Explanation: equal distribution option A may not be effective. Prioritizing underfunded programs option C does not guarantee impact. Funding only immediate needs option D ignores sustainability. Data-driven impact analysis option B ensures the best use of limited resources. Question 13. When scaling up operations that experience significant inefficiencies, a retail company expands its online sales but faces delays in order fulfillment. What is the best strategy? A. Hire more staff immediately to handle increased demand. B. Invest in automation and streamline warehouse logistics. C. Delay expansion until efficiency improves. D. Reduce marketing efforts to decrease order volume. Answer: B. Invest in automation and streamline warehouse logistics. Explanation: hiring more staff option A is a temporary fix. Delaying expansion option C slows growth. Reducing orders option D affects revenue. Automation option B improves efficiency and scalability. Question 14. When implementing new protocols in a shared environment, a hospital is introducing a digital patient tracking system to improve coordination between departments. However, some staff members resist the change, citing concerns about complexity and errors. What is the best strategy to ensure a smooth transition? A. Mandate immediate adoption and penalize non-compliance. B. Provide comprehensive training, a phased implementation, and continuous support. C. Allow only senior staff to use the system and introduce it to others later. D. Delay implementation until all staff fully accept the new system. Answer: B. Provide comprehensive training, a phased implementation, and continuous support. Explanation: mandating immediate adoption option A can create resistance. Limiting use to senior staff option C delays widespread efficiency. Delaying implementation option D hinders progress. A phased rollout with training and support option B ensures smoother integration and increased acceptance. Question 15. While examining inconsistencies across various units of a manufacturing company, the quality control team notices that defects are more frequent in some factories than others despite using the same processes. What is the most effective first step to identify the root cause? A. Standardize all factories to ensure uniform operations. B. Conduct a detailed process audit in both high and low defect locations. C. Replace equipment in high defect factories. D. Assign additional supervisors to high defect factories. Answer: B. Conduct a detailed process audit in both high and low defect locations. Explanation: standardizing without understanding the cause option A may not solve the issue. Replacing equipment option C is costly and unnecessary without identifying the problem. Adding supervisors option D does not address root causes. A process audit option B helps uncover inconsistencies in training materials or procedures. Question 16. During a major transformation where existing methods are being updated, the government agency transitions from paper-based records to a fully digital system. However, employees with decades of experience struggle with the new system. How should leadership handle the transition? A. Require immediate compliance with the new system and remove paper records. B. Provide training workshops, digital literacy support, and a gradual phase-out of paper records. C. Keep both systems indefinitely to accommodate employee preferences. D. Assign younger employees to handle digital tasks while senior employees continue using paper records. Answer: B. Provide training workshops, digital literacy support, and a gradual phase out of paper records. Explanation: forcing immediate compliance option A alienates employees. Keeping both systems indefinitely option C increases inefficiency. Separating responsibilities by age option D reinforces division. Training and gradual transition option B ensures adoption while supporting employees. Question 17. In a situation where formal requirements conflict with operational efficiency, a logistics company must comply with new regulatory paperwork, but doing so significantly slows down delivery times. What is the best approach? A. Fully comply with the regulations even if delivery times suffer. B. Develop automated solutions to streamline paperwork while ensuring compliance. C. Reduce documentation to maintain efficiency, even if it means non-compliance. D. Focus only on high-priority shipments for regulatory paperwork. Answer: B. Develop automated solutions to streamline paperwork while ensuring compliance. Explanation: ignoring efficiency, option A, reduces competitiveness. Non-compliance, option C, risks penalties. Focusing only on some shipments, option D, creates inconsistency. Automation, option B, balances compliance and efficiency. Question 18. When developing a solution that must address opposing needs, a software company is designing a mobile app that must be both highly secure and user-friendly. How should the company proceed? A. Prioritize security, even if it makes the app harder to use. B. Focus on user experience, even if it means reducing security features. C. Implement a tiered security approach, allowing users to adjust security settings based on their needs. D. Delay the app release until a perfect balance is found. Answer: C. Implement a tiered security approach, allowing users to adjust security settings based on their needs. Explanation: focusing only on security, option A, can frustrate users. Prioritizing ease of use, option B, weakens security. Delaying indefinitely, option D, is impractical. A tiered approach, option C, balances flexibility and protection. Question 19. In a multi-location scenario where consistency requirements vary, a retail chain must unify branding while allowing for regional differences. What is the best approach? A. Enforce identical branding in all locations without exceptions. B. Allow full customization for each location. C. Develop a core branding strategy with regional adaptation options. D. Remove branding requirements altogether. Answer: C. Develop a core branding strategy with regional adaptation options. Explanation: strict uniformity, option A, ignores local preferences. Full customization, option B, weakens brand identity. Removing branding, option D, is ineffective. A core strategy with adaptable elements, option C, ensures consistency while accommodating local differences. Question 20. During a seamless transition where continuity must be maintained, a financial institution upgrades its core banking system without disrupting customer transactions. What is the best strategy? A. Perform the transition all at once, accepting temporary service disruptions. B. Use a phased rollout, testing in controlled environments before full implementation. C. Keep the old and new systems running separately for an extended period. D. Delay the transition indefinitely to avoid risks. Answer: B. Use a phased rollout, testing in controlled environments before full implementation. Explanation: a full transition at once, option A, risks major failures. Running both systems indefinitely, option C, increases complexity. Delaying indefinitely, option D, prevents progress. Phased implementation, option B, minimizes risks while ensuring continuity. Question 21. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges exist, a space agency is developing a new launch system that must balance safety, cost, and innovation. What is the best approach? A. Prioritize safety, even if costs increase significantly. B. Focus on reducing costs, accepting some risk. C. Develop a risk-based approach that optimizes safety while managing costs and innovation. D. Delay the project until all risks are eliminated. Answer: C. Develop a risk-based approach that optimizes safety while managing costs and innovation. Explanation: over-prioritizing safety, option A, makes the project unsustainable. Reducing costs at the expense of safety, option B, is too risky. Delaying indefinitely, option D, is impractical. A balanced risk-based approach, option C, ensures innovation while maintaining safety and cost control. Question 22. While investigating a complicated issue between different departments, a company finds that miscommunication between sales and production teams is causing delays. What is the best way to improve coordination? A. Implement standardized communication tools and shared project tracking. B. Require teams to meet daily to resolve conflicts. C. Assign a third-party mediator to oversee all interactions. D. Allow each team to continue their processes separately. Answer: A. Implement standardized communication tools and shared project tracking. Explanation: daily meetings, option B, may be excessive. A mediator, option C, adds bureaucracy. Separate processes, option D, perpetuate misalignment. Standardized tools, option A, improve real-time collaboration. Question 23. In a situation where resource allocation becomes critical, a disaster response team must distribute emergency supplies across multiple regions affected by a hurricane. However, transportation is limited and demand exceeds available resources. What is the most effective strategy? A. Deliver supplies evenly across all affected areas to ensure fairness. B. Prioritize regions based on the severity of damage and urgency of need. C. Wait until more resources become available before making deliveries. D. Allow local authorities to decide how to distribute resources. Answer: B. Prioritize regions based on the severity of damage and urgency of need. Explanation: distributing supplies equally. Option A ignores varying needs, delaying delivery. Option C worsens conditions. Letting local authorities decide. Option D may lead to inconsistencies. Prioritizing based on severity. Option B ensures the most critical areas receive help first. Question 24. When improving a process that shows unexpected results, a pharmaceutical company notices that a new drug formulation has a different shelf life than predicted in laboratory tests. What should the company do first? A. Immediately halt production and recall all distributed products. B. Conduct additional testing to identify potential environmental factors affecting shelf life. C. Modify the formulation without further analysis to match the expected results. D. Continue distribution and monitor complaints from consumers. Answer: B. Conduct additional testing to identify potential environmental factors affecting shelf life. Explanation: halting production. Option A may be premature. Modifying the formulation without analysis. Option C is risky. Continuing distribution. Option D could pose safety issues. Additional testing. Option B helps determine the root cause before taking corrective action. Question 25. During an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted, a city's emergency services must handle simultaneous flooding, power outages, and road closures. What is the best strategy? A. Deploy resources equally across all affected areas. B. Focus on restoring power first to facilitate other recovery efforts. C. Prioritize critical infrastructure in areas with the highest risk to human life. D. Wait for federal assistance before deploying local resources. Answer: C. Prioritize critical infrastructure in areas with the highest risk to human life. Explanation: deploying resources equally. Option A may not address the most urgent needs. Restoring power first. Option B may not be the top priority in life-threatening situations. Waiting for federal assistance. Option D wastes valuable time. Prioritizing critical areas. Option C ensures maximum safety and effectiveness. Question 26. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in a production line, a car manufacturer finds that defective parts keep appearing in finished vehicles despite previous fixes. What is the best approach to permanently resolve the issue? A. Increase the frequency of quality control checks at the final inspection stage. B. Identify defects at the earliest possible stage in the supply chain and improve vendor quality. C. Train workers to manually fix defects before the product reaches customers. D. Reduce production speed to allow for more careful assembly. Answer: B. Identify defects at the earliest possible stage in the supply chain and improve vendor quality. Explanation: increasing final inspections. Option A does not address the root cause. Manually fixing defects. Option C is inefficient. Slowing production. Option D may not eliminate defects. Addressing the issue at the supply chain level. Option B prevents defects from occurring. Question 27. In a multi-location scenario where consistency requirements vary, a global airline must maintain service standards while accommodating cultural differences in customer expectations. What is the best strategy? A. Enforce a single global standard with no variations. B. Allow each location to fully customize services based on local preferences. C. Implement a core service model with flexible, culturally appropriate adaptations. D. Change service policies based only on customer complaints. Answer: C. Implement a core service model with flexible, culturally appropriate adaptations. Explanation: a single global standard. Option A may not meet diverse expectations. Full customization. Option B weakens brand identity. Changing policies based on complaints. Option D is reactive. A core model with flexibility. Option C balances consistency with cultural sensitivity. Question 28. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a financial institution finds that customer onboarding takes too long, leading to lost business. What is the best approach to streamline the process? A. Remove all verification steps to speed up onboarding. B. Identify bottlenecks and implement automation where possible. C. Allow customers to skip steps and provide documents later. D. Reduce staff involvement and rely solely on AI-driven decisions. Answer: B. Identify bottlenecks and implement automation where possible. Explanation: removing verification. Option A. Risks compliance issues. Letting customers skip steps. Option C. May cause delays later. Relying only on AI. Option D. May overlook necessary human judgment. Identifying bottlenecks and automating. Option B. Increases efficiency while maintaining accuracy. Question 29. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges arise, a cybersecurity team must protect a major financial institution from increasing cyber threats. What is the best approach? A. Focus only on preventing external threats, since internal breaches are less common. B. Implement a multi-layered security strategy with continuous monitoring and staff training. C. Use a single advanced security tool to detect all possible threats. D. Rely on reactive measures addressing threats as they arise. Answer: B. Implement a multi-layered security strategy with continuous monitoring and staff training. Explanation: focusing only on external threats. Option A ignores insider risks. A single tool. Option C cannot address all vulnerabilities. Reactive security. Option D leaves gaps. A multi-layered approach. Option B provides stronger proactive protection. Question 30. When scaling up operations that experience significant challenges, a tech startup rapidly expands its user base but faces performance issues with its platform. What is the best course of action? A. Continue expanding and address technical issues later. B. Slow down expansion until performance problems are resolved. C. Invest in scalable infrastructure while optimizing existing resources. D. Reduce platform functionality to decrease strain. Answer: C. Invest in scalable infrastructure while optimizing existing resources. Explanation: expanding without fixing issues. Option A leads to service failures. Slowing expansion. Option B may cause missed opportunities. Reducing functionality. Option D limits user experience. Scalable infrastructure. Option C ensures sustainable growth.